As I said, we are going to talk about something else than language, which might seem very strange. But here we come to consider interaction as a primary thing to study. And this is actually the credo of our lab, to start from the human basic interactivity. Forget about language, forget about symbolic cognition, and start from how people collaborate, how they interact using even subtle cues, not symbolic controls, and then see how possibly symbols emerge. This is at least part of our expertise here at the Warsaw University, which comes from ecological psychology and comes from dynamical systems. But we also have others, such as Tina Osińska and Grzegorz Krajewski, who are, let's say, more classical psycholinguists, and we therefore hope for this complementarity and complementary expertise to really come through also on our local level, of course, with your great help. I was listening, of course, to all your talks with intent. Here it is how we hope to fit, to provide more ecological settings, maybe angels instead of aliens, although I think Andreas said that for Protestant cultures, we do not know which ones are more natural. But also to provide more natural joint settings, maybe for studying propensity for interaction, like Anna was showing, would be important for abstract concepts. And also, well, let's start with at least that. So in those ecological and dynamical systems frameworks, abstract symbols are kind of strange. We do not know, we do not assume we know where they are coming from. And of course, you have a gradation of this abstractness. You have some language that is present in interaction in terms of just iconic gestures, almost, not language. And then of course, you have sentences, you have decontextualized sentences, as we said, we talked a minute before with Thea. And then you have formal languages, you have computation, and then there is a whole range of abstractness that we can study here. But we would like to study this in this ungrounding direction. So what are we doing? I will first say what are we doing in the HIL lab, Human Interactivity and Language Lab, and then we will pass to what Tina Osińska, Julian Zubek also within the lab, but Tina Osińska and Grzegorz Krajewski are doing in their research. And we hope to connect with all of those. So first of all, we are focused on theory building, and this is the topic of the first conference that we will have within twinning. And this is something that I always looked up to, Anna. I think your great special issue is really testifying to how strong we are philosophically. To how we are in the philosophical transactions of the Royal Society. The special issue on abstraction shows us that we have a really strong background here. And then in our lab, we will focus on what kind of dynamics is really the source of emergence of abstract concepts and words, and what kind of dynamics we can say that is controlled by those abstract concepts, perhaps to better pool knowledge, just like Christian was saying, perhaps for other reasons, to be more efficient, and so on. So I think as a first outcome of our lab, I would like to point to this framework that we are developing for thinking about symbols in terms of their ungrounding from ongoing activity. And here, as you probably know, we are using Terry Deacon's conceptual framework. Terry is also collaborating with us and will be in the advisory board of this project. And we have developed sort of a developmentally inspired model in which we understand abstraction as a type of control that emerges in communication by putting in relation more concrete things. So here, as I said, we look up to Anna to help us continue to build the framework, but also definitely we are looking up to what is going on in Aarhus, which provides concrete experimental settings to test our hypotheses that come from this rather abstract right now framework. We see language as a system of replicable constraints on interaction, and Aarhus has this great ability to show how you can, from joint action, how you can get changes in communication, which can inform us about the model. And of course, well, we right now, you know, the theory formulated in words is just one thing, but what is really important, we think, is to validate or to show the coherence of the theory in computational models. And here the expertise of Manchester University comes very strongly, because probably, Angelo, you recognize those little mushrooms and agents from your PhD and post-PhD work. We actually came back to it because we think it's one of the most interesting works on how abstract concepts and abstract symbols may emerge from interaction. And we are using agent-based computational modeling to show that actually this is possible, that it's possible to get away from immediate indications, immediate controls, to control the agents in a more abstract and more complex way. Of course, this agent-based communication, computational models are informed still. Here, sorry, I put the 3 little IPACs, which still wait to be used in those agent-based models. And actually, Angelo, they are waiting for you because you have so much expertise in robots, and we right now we perform our modeling virtually or I don't know, numerically only, and we are really impatient to put them in acting things like you are doing this with your robots. So we, of course, we want our work to be experimentally informed, empirically informed. And here we collaborate with Iris Nomico, Katarina Rolfing, and also Nicole Rosmanit. They have great databases. For example, the database, the corpus of data of video recordings of mothers diapering their children or playing peekaboo with their children. Those are in different languages, so we can capitalize on that. We have already used this data sets in order to show how the dynamics of this interaction is coupling in time, and how perhaps language comes in order to control it further. So as you can see, we start from very basic interaction. We code it qualitatively. We use recurrence quantification analysis to show, for example, as in this study, we show how at 3 months, the red line, the mother is following with her voice the vocalizations of the child. But at 8 months or 6 months, you can see that mother and child are doing turn taking with their voice. We think, coming back to our model, where you have this symbolic abstract layer of language emerging from interaction, this is a very, very important moment when the turn taking happens, because it seems that there is a vocal layer that is sort of coalescing or solidifying, being able to pull away our words used in concrete situations to a more abstract levels. And open projects right now involve studying such turn-taking behavior studying, for example, if mothers vocalize with or use language more readily to vocalizations that resemble language in children, if these are dialogical aspects, if there is indeed this emergence of vocal modality, and if this early agency in vocalizing also is sort of translated into later language development. So the next part of our research will be presented by Julian, and I will give him the floor.
Thank you. So I just wanted to tell you very briefly about other ways we analyze our experimental data and what kind of expertise we build at HIL. We approach video recordings as a source of information on the actual dynamics of interaction, how this interaction unfolds in time. And we use automatic movement tracking to quantify somehow movement coordination between partners involved in an interaction. One example of this kind of work is an open project done as a collaboration with Arkadiusz Białek and Marta Bełecka-Pikul from Jagiellonian University, where we try to build a bridge between movement coordination, joint action, and child social development. This is very much in line with an active and interactive take on social cognition, for example, represented by the works of Sean Gallagher. We demonstrate that just from movement coordination statistics in parent-child interaction, it is possible to large extent to predict the level of child's theory of mind, which is classically described in much more abstract terms. So we very much hope that we will be able to develop this work even further, collaborating, for example, with our partners from Manchester. Besides movement coordination, we are also interested in looking at interaction as a tool to build complex systems. So systems composed of multiple individuals, which can be still analyzed on the system level, on the global level, which is very similar to the approach that Christian told us today. For example, we demonstrated how introducing a specialized vocabulary to an interactive dyad, solving something like a wine recognition task, transforms the performance of this dyad as a whole. And this transformation is visible on very specific metrics, namely the composition of error into bias and variance terms. Okay. This is also something that we very much look forward to enriching, and it's an open area for collaboration.
Thanks, Julian. And we actually see those studies as complementary, as supplying the dynamics to the studies that Aarhus University is doing, and we would try to develop this expertise, complementary expertise in RQA, movement tracking, etc., which also is reflected in the workshops that we are going to provide. All right, so, but we also have other work at Warsaw University, which is conducted by people who have a very nice history of studying language. Albertina Osińska from Cambridge University and Grzegorz Krajewski actually from the University of Manchester. So they know each other with Thea very well, and I will now pass the floor to you. Tina?
Thank you, Joanna. So my work I look at how adults learn language, but not really how adults prepare for language exams, or where they engage in what we call explicit learning, and they use some strategies to remember things really well. I look at implicit learning, which means what people learn where they don't have any intention to learn anything in particular, or in fact they don't know that they're engaging in learning at all. This has been operationalized in various tasks in experimental psychology, and it's important in the study of language because we believe that this process reflects acquisition, or what is left of it in adults. So in typical experiments in psychology, people learn regularities in letters or sequences of movements or statistical regularities in syllables. But most of this research looks at form level regularities without meaning. But in my work, I extend it to look at semantic learning. And Joanna, if you could press. Thank you. So in a typical semantic implicit learning experiment, people encounter some English texts with novel words in this new language they're learning. And what they don't know up front is that some of these words, like say Google powder, collocate with abstract words like importance, role, status, and some other words like say Mutin or Connell, collocate with concrete substances like sugar, chocolate, oxygen. And we were wondering whether people will soon start behaving in a way that would suggest that their minds have started distinguishing these two types of semantic environments for these words. And indeed, it seems to be the case, even for those people who report no awareness of such regularity at the end of those experiments and are surprised that it was there. The overarching question here is, can adults in principle learn any semantic dimension, or any meaning is learnable? Or are there some constraints to language learning, be it from UG, or does some linguistic naturalness play a role in this learning? Does it guide us in some way? And a sequence of similar experiments shows that the picture is a little bit more complex. So comparing speakers of different first languages, we can see that they do become sensitive to whether to abstract or concrete words, this semantic distinction, or whether something is a living or a non-living thing. But when the distinction is something like whether an object is long or flat, only people from languages like Chinese who have this or similar distinctions pick up on this regularity. But if something is really unnatural linguistically, like whether an object makes a sound like a radio or doesn't, like a worm, people from no language background really pick up on this. So the question now arises, like, where do these expectations come from, and what are they? So what's the role of the early linguistic experiences? Which brings me to probably to the next speaker, Grzegorz, who is going to talk about early language. But I just hope that this methodology we can extend this methodology and brainstorm some ideas with Anna and with Thea, I think, especially since the newest leg concerns interoception, but we can talk about it later. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? I'm actually a member of the Multilada team led by Professor Eva Hamann here at Warsaw. Multilada stands for Multilingual, Language Development and Assessment. And we are starting a large project called Star Words, which is centered on lexical development of children growing in multilingual settings, Polish, Norwegian, and Polish English living in the UK in particular. We obviously do it in collaboration with partners from Oslo and from England. The aim of the project is to gather longitudinal data on developmental trajectories, and there are basically two sources of data, both consisting in gathering information online via the internet, which is quite important in the current pandemic situation. You can see one source of our data on the left side of the slide. This is a mobile app for parents, which will let us collect spontaneous kind of diary data on children's very first words, as well as lexical innovations and first multi-word utterances, among other data. The other source of data, which you can see on the other side of the screen, is standardized measurement tools popular in child language research communicative development inventories. These are basically long lists of words which parents check if their child uses or knows them. And an important addition we want to add here is constructing computer adaptive versions of those tools, which would considerably shorten their administration time, while hopefully increasing their precision simultaneously. And combining the two sources, the app and the questionnaires, we hope to collect a large corpus of bilingual child language data, which will let us do all sorts of interesting analysis, hopefully. In the context of this twinning project, I think the particularly interesting directions seem to be those concerned with transition from concrete to abstract. One such direction would be comparing developmental trajectories of concrete and abstract words. The other question, and that would be probably even more interesting for me given my previous involvement at Manchester, would be the transition from concrete lexical items to more abstract, generalized grammatical constructions. And I'm very happy to have Thea here on board, as I know we share the same approach to the emergence of abstractions in language. That's it from me, thanks. And back to the studio, Joanna.
Okay, sorry for extending it a little bit. I just wanted to reiterate how we would like to merge the expertise, providing our methodologies that Grzegorz and Tina were talking about, with the more ecological and movement-based and real interaction-based approaches. So here is a little summary. I just wanted to mention that we, of course, are conducting in the lab many other studies which can be suitable for this type of collaboration. One of them is a study in which Konrad is involved, which is Uhura study of the interaction in laryngectomies. The other is several studies that also are linked to the COVID pandemic, so we should definitely team up there with Anna and the others. And Tina's research on, Tina, can you say, because I don't want to.
Well, on vagus nerve stimulation and interoception. So basically it's a vagus nerve connects all the major internal organs to the brain, and stimulating it non-invasively via ear kind of strengthens that signal. So we believe that hopefully this could be a way to help people perceive what's going on inside them better. And this is called interoception. And yeah, so it's a total experimentally manipulate embodiment, hopefully in abstract concept learning.
Okay, so now we can take your questions if you have any. I don't know if I see the chat. Maybe I can switch off the screen. Okay. All right, so Angela?
I wonder if you have collaborators in your computer science department or electronics with interest and expertise in cognitive aspects of AI in robotics, this might be maybe good to explore. Also, is maybe co-supervision or between students who can provide the technical expertise, for example, for the multi-robot experiments.
Well, our cognitive science program is sort of multidisciplinary. So we have connections to math department, not so much to engineering, but we also have collaborators in mechatronics. So it can be one of the stable connections there if we would like to set up something that actually functions. But we were I think we were thinking mainly about, ready-made programmable devices such as ePacks, or perhaps coming to you and learning about the
of course.
So yeah, but I think looking at the expertise of Warsaw the University of Warsaw and Warsaw Polytechnics, we are able to definitely mount something interesting. And Andreas?
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's really interesting to hear. So a couple of other links we might explore to Aarhus is on the interoception. So Micah Allen, a close colleague of ours, does a lot of research on interoception and on how to both manipulate and monitor interoceptive signals. And I think that could be highly relevant as well. And to the last comment by Czechor, Christopher Cox, who's with us, is a PhD student who also developed some apps for language acquisition in children. And he's very interested in getting in touch with you. So, on top of the things that we already knew were at stake, actually our developmental psychology could really, I think, benefit from this as well, as long as the interoception. So great places and great overviews.
Great. That would be really cool to meet this PhD student of yours and to learn about the app he's doing.
He's on the YouTube channel, and he immediately wrote me that he wanted to connect with you. So you'll expect something from him soon. Okay, I'm waiting.
Yes, me too. It's really exciting. It would be wonderful to collaborate with you. I know there's wonderful work at Aarhus in interoception, so it's really exciting.
So as we can see, maybe not even only abstract concepts, and I think we should open to all kinds of collaboration, because then we have methods and background to move to abstractness later. And from what I have heard, we have like 2-3 micro twinings already going on. If Tina, Grzegorz, Andreas, if we find also graduate students that are willing to devote their time, then please do write us. That's probably the most easy way to jump on. Any other questions from YouTube, for example?
Not yet. I think people may be discouraged by the technical problems, but there are still 30 people watching us.
We will try to amend the recording afterwards. Hopefully it will be possible, because I know that Konrad was capturing us in the moment when the connection failed, right? And did you record? Yeah, so great. So maybe we will be able to paste this to time warp our meeting. All right, so yes.
Do I have time, Joanna?
Yes, go ahead.
Anytime. So very interesting point I wanted to comment is when you spoke of automatic movement tracking from videos, etc. That could be really interesting. Could be really something interesting to develop in order to understand whether, for example, you converse on abstract versus on concrete concepts, there is a higher, I don't know, movement synchrony or something like that. That would be really exciting for me, at least. So one could maybe come up with some common ideas on that.
Absolutely. I was also thinking when looking at your slides, exactly the same. So definitely the control exerted by concrete and by abstract concepts are perfect for us. Absolutely. Right.
So detected in natural conversation, I think it's a big advantage. Yeah, we did an experiment, but it was a kinematics experiment. So whereas detecting in normal use would be great. So I think it could be really fascinating.
Yes, and from your studies, we will probably have already the ideas for the materials and so on.
Yeah.
Great. Super. Mm-hmm.
Sure, we can.
Perfect. Sorry, I didn't see you waving. We also have questions from YouTube. Thank you so much. Professor Jurewicz writes that she could propose contact with scholars from the Oriental faculty who know many Asian and African languages also. That might be interesting both for Anna and for Tina. All of us actually, and the bodily dynamics there, of course, is also very, very interesting, and the way the language is treated, which might be another topic to study. So some of them are doing cognitive research on relationship between concepts and language, as I do. Perfect. Thank you very much. I think we should definitely talk and meet in a maybe more close group to collaborate further. Thank you so much. Okay, we are good in time, I think. Would anybody want to add something? We will be closing our streaming to YouTube with this presentation and this discussion, but we are, as I said, we are very open to your comments and questions and your signing to us that you would like to join us. We definitely hope to see you during our March conference. Anna will talk about it during our closed meetings, but maybe a couple of words now, Anna, just 1-2 sentences.
The title of the conference is New Perspective on Abstract Concepts, and it pertains theory building. And it includes 3 different sessions. One session more focused on language and abstract concept. The second more focused on interaction, social interaction and sociality and abstract concepts. And the third more on inner grounding, so interoception and metacognition. And so far we have 18, I think, very top people who have worked extensively in the area. A few examples, I don't know, Larry Barsalou, Dadre Gentner, Gary Lupian, Guy Dav, Penny Paxman, a lot of very good people we have, and many others, so Marta Ponari, so many other good people, and it will be on March 13 to 15, 15, 16 and 17. And we'll probably have, since there are many people from outside Europe, we will probably have it in the afternoon, each day 4 hours for the public. And then we will have 45 minutes dedicated to the people in the project. But
yes,
very short presentations, but of leading people and people who are certainly able to give us many insights and ideas.
All right, so you are all invited. We will definitely send the links and invitations when we are more ready. And we hope that you will visit our page, webpage regularly once it's up as a regular web page, not a makeshift one that we made for this kickoff meeting. This is one of the first tasks in our project. We will also have a newsletter for you to just keep in touch with us. And let's hope to fight for the University of Warsaw and Faculty of the Psychology to be a better place to do research, and for the stable connections with all of our partners. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching us. We are all very happy that you arrived and were with us. Thank you.